Today, in our book Believe in Yourself by Dr. Joseph Murphy, we are not just reading ideas, we are learning how to apply them in real life, in our thoughts, our emotions, and our everyday experiences. This book helps us understand why we think, feel, and react the way we do, and how self-belief quietly shapes our entire life. If you have ever faced any of these inner struggles, then this book is for you, and you should listen to it completely and honestly. Why do I keep repeating the same emotional patterns, even when I want to change? Why do I feel guilty for wanting more than just survival? Why do I feel uncomfortable when something good starts happening in my life? So let's start. Believe in Yourself by Dr. Joseph Murphy is really a gentle reminder of something we all quietly forget again and again, that the power shaping our lives is not outside us. It's moving inside us every single moment, through our thoughts, our feelings, and the quiet beliefs we carry about ourselves. When you look at your life honestly, the patterns you see, the relationships you attract, the opportunities that seem to come or not come, they're not random accidents. They grow out of what you consistently accept as true about yourself. If deep inside you believe you are capable, worthy, and supported by life, you begin to move through the world differently. You speak differently, you choose differently, you respond differently, and slowly, almost invisibly, life begins to mirror that inner shift back to you. Most people don't realize how much of their daily experience is being created automatically. A person wakes up already feeling tired, already expecting the day to be heavy, already assuming nothing good will happen. Then they wonder why their day feels exactly like that. It's not because the world is cruel, but because the subconscious mind is obedient. It accepts the dominant emotional tone you give it and expresses that tone outwardly as experience. If you tell yourself, even quietly, that you're unlucky, that things never work out for you, that you're not the kind of person who succeeds, the subconscious doesn't argue. It simply takes that as a blueprint and starts organizing your perceptions, your reactions, and even your decisions around that belief. Now imagine what happens when you gently reverse that. Not by forcing yourself to be fake happy, not by shouting affirmations that feel empty, but by slowly, calmly introducing a new inner conversation. You begin to speak to yourself as someone who is learning, growing, and becoming. You start to say, I am open to good. I am allowed to succeed. I can handle what comes. These are not magical words. They are emotional seeds. And when you repeat them with feeling, with patience, the subconscious begins to accept them as true. Over time, your nervous system relaxes, your body feels safer, your mind becomes more open, and you begin to notice possibilities that were always there but that you simply couldn't see before. Think about how this works in everyday life. A student who believes they are bad at learning feels anxious before even opening a book. That anxiety blocks concentration. Then they struggle, and the struggle proves the belief. But another student who believes they can improve approaches the same book with curiosity instead of fear. Their mind is more open, their body more relaxed, and learning becomes easier. The content is the same, but the inner state is different, and that changes everything. This is why belief is not just a thought, it's a feeling state. It's the atmosphere you carry inside you. And that atmosphere quietly shapes what you notice, what you attempt, and what you allow yourself to receive. When you truly begin to believe in yourself, not in an arrogant way, but in a calm, grounded way, you stop fighting life. You stop assuming danger in every opportunity. You stop shrinking yourself before you even begin. You walk into situations with a soft confidence, and people feel that. They respond differently to you. Doors open more easily. Conversations flow more naturally. You become someone who expects good, and so you notice good more. Believing in yourself also means forgiving yourself. Letting go of old mistakes, old labels, old failures that you've been dragging behind you like a heavy suitcase. The subconscious does not understand time the way the conscious mind does. If you emotionally relive your past failures every day, your subconscious thinks they are happening now, and it keeps recreating the same emotional patterns. But when you choose to reinterpret your past, not as proof of inadequacy, but as proof of learning, growth, and resilience, the emotional charge begins to dissolve. You free your inner world, and your outer world slowly follows. Dr. Joseph Murphy's message is simple but profound. You do not need to fight the world, you need to align your inner world. When your inner speech becomes kind, when your expectations become hopeful, when your self-image becomes compassionate and strong, life begins to rearrange itself around that inner harmony. This does not mean you will never face challenges. It means you will face them as someone who trusts themselves, someone who knows they can respond wisely, someone who believes that even difficulties carry growth within them. So the journey of believing in yourself is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you already are beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the old conditioning. It is about coming home to a quiet certainty that you are enough, that you are capable, and that life is not against you. And when that certainty becomes your natural inner state, the world gently, inevitably begins to reflect it back to you. As this sense of believing in yourself begins to grow, something very subtle yet powerful starts to happen inside you. You begin to notice that your reactions change before your circumstances do. Where you once felt immediate fear, you now feel a pause. Where you once felt helpless, you now feel a quiet question forming inside, asking, "What can I do here?" That small internal shift is the beginning of real change, because life doesn't respond to what you wish for, it responds to what you expect and emotionally accept. The subconscious mind is always listening. It listens to the tone you use with yourself when no one else is around. It listens to the story you repeat when things go wrong. It listens to the way you describe yourself in your private thoughts. If that inner language is harsh, doubtful, or fearful, the subconscious accepts that as the normal atmosphere of your life and works tirelessly to maintain it. But when you slowly soften that inner language, when you speak to yourself with patience and trust, the subconscious adjusts, and your emotional world becomes calmer and more stable. This is why believing in yourself is not a one-time decision. It is a daily inner relationship. You are always in conversation with yourself. Every moment you are either strengthening your confidence or weakening it, even through very small thoughts. A simple thought like, "This is too hard for me," quietly builds a wall. A thought like, "I can take this one step at a time," quietly opens a door. Over days and weeks, those tiny differences become entire life paths. Think about how often people sabotage themselves without realizing it. They say they want success, love, peace, or abundance, but inside they feel unworthy of it, unsafe with it, or doubtful that it can last. That emotional contradiction sends mixed instructions to the subconscious, and so life responds in mixed ways. Opportunities appear but feel uncomfortable. Love arrives but feels unsafe. Growth begins but is quickly abandoned. When you truly believe in yourself, these inner conflicts start to dissolve. You begin to feel emotionally aligned with what you desire, and that alignment makes receiving feel natural instead of threatening. Believing in yourself also changes how you experience time. When you don't trust yourself, everything feels urgent. You feel rushed, pressured, anxious to fix your life immediately. But when you trust yourself, you feel patient. You know that growth is unfolding even when you cannot see it. You stop panicking about the future and start being present with the process. And that presence itself becomes healing, because anxiety is one of the strongest signals of inner disbelief. There is also a deep emotional comfort that comes from self-trust. When you believe in yourself, you no longer feel like life is something happening to you. You feel like a participant, a co-creator, someone whose inner world matters. You begin to take responsibility not with guilt, but with empowerment. Instead of blaming yourself for what isn't working, you gently ask yourself what needs more care, more patience, more kindness. This kindness toward yourself is not weakness. It is strength in its most stable form. A person who believes in themselves does not need to constantly prove it. They don't need to dominate, impress, or compete. Their confidence is quiet, steady, and calm. It comes from knowing that their worth is not dependent on outcomes. They can fail and still feel valuable. They can succeed and still feel humble. That emotional balance makes them resilient, adaptable, and deeply grounded. And this grounded state is exactly what allows the subconscious to work in your favor. When you are emotionally calm, mentally clear, and inwardly trusting, your intuition becomes stronger. You sense which choices feel right, which paths feel aligned, which people feel supportive. You stop forcing life and start flowing with it. You stop pushing against resistance and start noticing where things move easily. Over time, believing in yourself becomes less about repeating words and more about living from a different inner posture. You walk a little taller. You breathe a little deeper. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of panic. And these small embodied changes quietly reshape your reality. So this journey is not about controlling life, it is about cooperating with it. It is about creating an inner environment where growth feels safe, where love feels possible, where success feels deserved, and where peace feels natural. When you build that inner environment, life has no choice but to reflect it back to you in forms that feel supportive, meaningful, and alive. As this inner trust deepens, you start to realize that the real work is not changing the world, but changing how you meet the world. The same events can feel heavy or light depending on the emotional lens through which you see them. When you believe in yourself, you don't interpret every challenge as a threat to your worth. You begin to see difficulties as movements in life, not judgments about you. And that single change softens the emotional weight you carry every day. A person who does not believe in themselves feels constantly tested by life. Every problem feels personal. Every delay feels like rejection. Every mistake feels like proof of inadequacy. But when belief grows, these experiences lose their sharp edges. You begin to understand that life is not trying to defeat you, it is trying to shape you. And once you trust that shaping process, you stop resisting it and start cooperating with it. This cooperation is what allows the subconscious mind to become a supportive force rather than a fearful one. Instead of scanning constantly for danger, your mind begins to scan for solutions. Instead of replaying what went wrong, it begins to imagine what could go right. This is not naive optimism, it is emotional maturity. It is the ability to stay open even when things are uncertain. You start noticing how often fear used to close your heart. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of being disappointed again. That fear made you shrink your dreams, soften your voice, hide your truth, and lower your expectations. It wasn't protecting you, it was limiting you. Believing in yourself gently releases that fear. Not all at once, not dramatically, but little by little. You begin to feel safer inside your own mind. And when your inner world feels safe, your outer world becomes easier to navigate. You also become more honest with yourself. You no longer pretend to want things you don't truly want just to fit in. You no longer chase goals that don't resonate with your heart. Self-belief brings clarity, because when you trust yourself, you trust your feelings, your preferences, your inner yes, and your inner no. You stop needing constant validation, because you have a stable inner reference point. This changes your relationships in powerful ways. You stop overgiving to feel worthy. You stop tolerating disrespect to avoid being alone. You stop chasing approval and start choosing connection. People feel that shift. They sense when you are grounded, when you are not trying to extract something from them, when you are simply present. That presence becomes magnetic. It invites authenticity, depth, and mutual respect. Believing in yourself also teaches you patience with your own growth. You stop demanding perfection from yourself. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You allow yourself to learn slowly, to heal gradually, to change naturally. And that gentleness creates consistency, because growth that is kind is growth that lasts. You begin to understand that you are not behind in life. You are not late. You are not broken. You are unfolding. Just like a tree does not rush its leaves or flowers, you do not need to rush your becoming. This realization brings deep peace. You stop comparing your timeline with others. You stop measuring your worth through external milestones. You start honoring your inner rhythm. And in that honoring, your energy changes. You feel lighter, calmer, more present. You become less reactive and more responsive. You start listening more deeply, not just to others, but to yourself. You notice when something drains you and when something nourishes you. You begin to choose in favor of what supports your growth rather than what feeds your fear. This is how self-belief becomes self-leadership. You are no longer driven by old wounds, unconscious patterns, or external pressures. You are guided by awareness, trust, and inner alignment. You still experience emotions, but they no longer control you. You feel sadness without drowning in it. You feel joy without clinging to it. You feel uncertainty without collapsing into it. So believing in yourself is not about being fearless. It is about being brave enough to stay open, honest, and present even when fear arises. It is about choosing trust again and again, even when doubt whispers. And over time, that choice becomes your nature. You become someone who meets life with curiosity instead of resistance, with courage instead of avoidance, with love instead of fear. And that is the quiet, steady transformation that changes everything. As you continue living from this place of inner trust, you begin to notice something beautiful and unexpected. Life starts to feel less like a battlefield and more like a conversation. Instead of feeling pushed around by circumstances, you feel like you are in dialogue with them. Events happen, yes, but you are no longer only reacting. You are responding with awareness, with choice, and with a sense that you are not separate from what is unfolding. This is where believing in yourself turns into believing in life itself. You stop seeing the world as something hostile that you must conquer, and start seeing it as something responsive that you can cooperate with. You feel guided rather than lost, supported rather than abandoned. Even when things are uncertain, there is a quiet sense inside that says, "I will be okay. I can handle this. I am not alone in this process." That inner assurance changes the quality of your energy. You stop carrying tension in your body. Your breath becomes deeper. Your shoulders soften. Your mind becomes less crowded. And in that relaxed state, your intuition becomes clearer. You begin to sense which decisions feel right and which feel forced. You notice when you are moving from fear and when you are moving from truth. You also become more present. When you no longer feel the need to constantly protect yourself, prove yourself, or rush yourself, you can actually be where you are. You listen more fully. You see more clearly. You enjoy small moments instead of rushing past them. A cup of tea, a quiet walk, a warm conversation suddenly feel rich and meaningful. And this presence feeds your soul in ways that no external success ever could. Believing in yourself reconnects you with your natural joy. Not the loud excitement that depends on circumstances, but the soft joy that comes from feeling aligned with yourself. You feel grateful without forcing it. You feel peaceful without trying to create it. You feel alive in a calm and grounded way. This inner alignment also makes you more creative. Ideas flow more easily. Solutions appear more naturally. You stop overthinking and start trusting your inner guidance. When your mind is not busy defending or doubting itself, it becomes open, flexible, and receptive. Creativity is not something you have to push for. It is something that emerges when you are relaxed and open. You begin to understand that you do not need to control every detail of your life. You only need to take care of your inner state. From that state, the right actions arise naturally. You speak when it is time to speak. You wait when it is time to wait. You move when it is time to move. And because your actions are coming from alignment instead of anxiety, they tend to be more effective, more graceful, and more impactful. This is also where your relationships deepen. When you are not seeking validation, you can truly see others. You can listen without needing to be right. You can give without needing to receive something back immediately. You can love without fear of losing yourself. That kind of presence is rare, and it creates deep, meaningful connections. Believing in yourself also teaches you to trust your timing. You stop forcing things to happen before they are ready. You allow seeds to grow in their own time. And this patience removes so much unnecessary suffering from your life. You stop fighting the natural rhythm of growth and start moving with it. Over time, you realize that you are not here to struggle endlessly. You are here to experience, to learn, to love, and to express the deeper qualities of your being. When you believe in yourself, you give yourself permission to live fully, not just survive. And that is the real gift of self-belief. It doesn't just change what you achieve, it changes how you feel while you are achieving it. It replaces anxiety with trust, pressure with flow, and fear with quiet confidence. It brings you back into harmony with yourself and with life. As this harmony settles into you, you begin to notice how gently life starts reflecting your inner changes back to you. Not always in dramatic ways, not with fireworks and instant miracles, but in subtle, meaningful shifts. Conversations feel warmer. Opportunities feel more natural. Problems feel more workable. And most importantly, you feel different inside them. You feel steadier, clearer, and more capable of meeting whatever arises. You realize that belief is not about convincing the world, it is about convincing your own heart. Once your heart feels safe, your mind becomes calmer, and your actions become wiser. You stop acting from old emotional wounds and start acting from present awareness. This is how the past loosens its grip on you. Not by being erased, but by losing its emotional charge. You may still remember what happened to you, but it no longer defines who you are. You stop introducing yourself to life through your pain, your failures, or your limitations. You start introducing yourself through your presence, your openness, and your willingness to grow. That alone changes how people respond to you, because people do not respond to your history, they respond to your energy. Believing in yourself also changes how you experience success. Success no longer feels like something you must chase or prove. It feels like something that naturally unfolds as you align with your truth. You stop measuring your worth by external results. You begin to measure it by how honestly, kindly, and courageously you live. And in doing that, you often find that the external results improve anyway, not because you forced them, but because you became aligned with them. You begin to feel a quiet pride in yourself, not the loud pride of ego, but the soft pride of self-respect. You respect your journey. You respect your efforts. You respect your growth. You stop comparing yourself harshly with others. You stop seeing life as a race. You start seeing it as a personal unfolding, unique and meaningful in its own way. This self-respect becomes a powerful stabilizer. When something goes wrong, you don't collapse into self-criticism. You respond with curiosity and compassion. You ask, "What is this teaching me?" instead of "What is wrong with me?" And that question alone opens space for growth rather than shame. You also begin to trust your resilience. You realize that you have survived many things already. You have adapted, learned, and grown through challenges that once felt impossible. This awareness gives you a deep inner strength. You stop fearing the future as much because you know you can meet it. Believing in yourself does not mean you expect life to be perfect. It means you trust yourself to handle imperfection. It means you trust your capacity to learn, to heal, to adjust, and to begin again when needed. And that trust is far more valuable than any guarantee of comfort. You start to feel grateful for your challenges, not because they were easy, but because they shaped you. They taught you patience, empathy, courage, and depth. They softened you and strengthened you at the same time. And when you see your life through that lens, even difficult experiences begin to make sense as part of your becoming. This perspective fills you with quiet gratitude. Gratitude for your breath, your growth, your awareness, your journey. And gratitude itself becomes another bridge to peace. You begin to notice beauty in ordinary moments. A kind word, a gentle morning, a shared laugh, a moment of silence. These moments begin to feel rich and meaningful, not because they are extraordinary, but because you are present with them. So believing in yourself becomes believing in your life. Not as a perfect story, but as a meaningful one. Not as a smooth path, but as a deep one. And from that belief arises a sense of purpose, not a rigid goal, but a gentle direction, a feeling that you are exactly where you need to be in order to become who you are meant to be. As this sense of meaning grows stronger inside you, you begin to feel connected to something larger than your personal story. You start to sense that your life is not just about achieving, fixing, or proving, but about expressing something true, something unique that only you can bring into the world. This realization softens the pressure you put on yourself. You stop trying to become someone else and start allowing yourself to be who you are. You notice that much of your old struggle came from resistance. Resistance to where you were, resistance to who you were, resistance to what was happening. Believing in yourself dissolves that resistance. You begin to accept your current place as a starting point, not a prison. You stop seeing your circumstances as enemies and start seeing them as invitations to grow, to respond, to evolve. This shift brings a deep sense of peace. Not the peace of having no problems, but the peace of trusting that you can meet whatever arises. You stop trying to control life and start trusting your relationship with it. You realize that control was never the answer. Awareness, presence, and alignment are. You also become more forgiving, not just toward yourself, but toward others. You stop expecting people to be perfect. You understand that everyone is acting from their own level of awareness, their own wounds, their own fears. This understanding does not make you passive, but it makes you compassionate. You set boundaries without anger. You express needs without guilt. You walk away when needed without bitterness. Believing in yourself gives you the courage to be honest. Honest about what you feel, what you want, what you need, and what you are ready for. You stop hiding behind roles, masks, and expectations. You allow yourself to be seen. And in being seen, you feel more alive, more real, more whole. You also become more aligned with your values. You begin to notice what truly matters to you beyond social conditioning. Kindness, creativity, connection, freedom, growth, peace. These values become your compass. They guide your choices, your relationships, your work, and your lifestyle. And because your life begins to reflect your values, you feel more fulfilled. You start to experience life less as a series of problems to solve and more as a field of experiences to engage with. Joy and sorrow both become meaningful. Success and failure both become teachers. Nothing feels wasted. Everything feels like part of the journey. This perspective brings a deep sense of trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your process, trust in life. You stop feeling like you need constant reassurance because you become your own reassurance. You feel grounded in something stable inside you that does not depend on circumstances. You also become more resilient. When difficulties arise, you don't fall apart as easily. You feel the emotions, yes, but you are not overwhelmed by them. You stay present. You breathe. You listen. You respond. You move forward one step at a time. And that steady movement is what creates progress. Believing in yourself gives you the courage to dream again. Not with desperate longing, but with open-hearted curiosity. You allow yourself to imagine a life that feels meaningful, joyful, and aligned. You allow yourself to want what you want without shame. And that permission is powerful. It opens your inner world, and an open inner world invites new outer possibilities. You begin to trust that you deserve good things, not because you are perfect, but because you are alive. You deserve peace, love, growth, and joy simply because you exist. This simple truth, once accepted, changes everything. So you walk forward not as someone trying to fix themselves, but as someone learning to express themselves. You live not as someone chasing worth, but as someone embodying it. And in that embodiment, your life becomes not just something you endure, but something you participate in fully, consciously, and lovingly. As you continue living from this place of trust and alignment, you begin to notice that your life feels less fragmented. The different parts of you that once felt in conflict, your desires and your fears, your hopes and your doubts, your strength and your sensitivity, slowly start to come into harmony. You no longer feel like you are fighting yourself. And when you stop fighting yourself, life stops feeling like a fight too. You begin to feel whole. Not perfect, not finished, but whole in the sense that you accept all of yourself. Your light and your shadow, your confidence and your vulnerability, your wisdom and your confusion. You stop trying to hide parts of yourself from yourself. You stop pretending to be stronger than you feel or calmer than you are. You allow yourself to be human. And in allowing yourself to be human, you become deeply real. This wholeness brings a quiet joy that is not dependent on circumstances. You feel alive in your body. You feel present in your moments. You feel connected to your experiences. Even ordinary days feel meaningful because you are fully there for them. You are not constantly escaping into the past or the future. You are here. You also notice that your compassion deepens. You feel more understanding toward others because you understand yourself more. You recognize fear when you see it. You recognize pain when you see it. And instead of judging it, you meet it with gentleness. This does not mean you allow harm or disrespect, but it means you no longer need to add hatred to the world. You respond with clarity, not cruelty. Believing in yourself also brings a sense of freedom. Freedom from needing approval, freedom from needing to be right, freedom from needing to control outcomes. You begin to enjoy the process more than the result. You become curious rather than anxious. You become open rather than defensive. You begin to feel that life is something you are exploring, not something you are surviving. You also begin to sense a deeper purpose in simply being. You realize that your presence matters. Your kindness matters. Your honesty matters. Your growth matters. You don't need to do something extraordinary to be meaningful. You are meaningful by being aware, kind, and alive. This awareness brings a sense of sacredness to everyday life. A conversation feels like a meeting of worlds. A moment of silence feels rich and full. A walk feels like a meditation. You stop rushing through life and start walking with it. You begin to see how much of your old suffering came from resistance to what is. Wanting things to be different before you allowed yourself to be at peace. But now you understand that peace does not come from having everything you want. It comes from wanting what is, while still gently moving toward what you feel called to grow into. This balance between acceptance and growth is the heart of self-belief. You accept yourself as you are, and you also allow yourself to become more. You do not shame yourself for where you are, and you do not limit yourself to it either. You hold both with love. You also notice that you are less afraid of endings. You understand that endings are not failures, they are completions. Relationships change, chapters close, identities evolve. You allow things to end when they are meant to end, without clinging, without bitterness. And in that letting go, you make space for new beginnings. Believing in yourself means trusting the flow of life. Trusting that what leaves is making space. Trusting that what arrives is meaningful. Trusting that you are always exactly where you need to be in order to grow into who you are becoming. And in this trust, your heart rests. You stop gripping life with fear and start holding it with love. You walk forward not as someone trying to get somewhere, but as someone already on a meaningful journey. As you come to rest in this way of being, you begin to feel a deep, steady sense of belonging. Not belonging to a group, a role, or a label, but belonging to life itself. You feel that you are part of something vast and intelligent, something that is always moving, always changing, always unfolding. And instead of feeling lost in that vastness, you feel held by it. You begin to trust the invisible rhythms that guide your life. The moments that brought you joy, the moments that brought you pain, the moments that changed your direction, all of them now feel like threads in a larger tapestry. You don't need to understand every thread to trust the pattern. You feel that your life has meaning not because it is perfect, but because it is yours. You stop asking life to prove itself to you. You stop demanding guarantees. You stop needing certainty before you move. You learn to walk with uncertainty, not as an enemy, but as a companion that keeps life alive and dynamic. You realize that mystery is not a threat, it is what makes growth possible. Believing in yourself means believing that you can meet the unknown with openness, not fear. It means trusting that you will find your way even when you don't yet see it. It means knowing that clarity comes through movement, not before it. You feel more courageous now, not because you have no fear, but because fear no longer controls you. You feel it, you acknowledge it, and you move anyway. You live anyway. You love anyway. You grow anyway. You also feel more grateful. Grateful for your breath, your body, your awareness, your journey. Grateful for the people who touched your life, even those who hurt you, because they taught you something about yourself. Grateful for the challenges that shaped you, because they made you deeper, stronger, and more compassionate. You begin to live with a sense of reverence for your own experience. You treat your life as something precious, not because it is extraordinary, but because it is fleeting. You understand that each moment is unrepeatable, and that gives it beauty. You also begin to give more freely, not from obligation, but from fullness. You share your presence, your kindness, your attention, your love. And in giving, you realize that you are not losing anything. You are expressing who you are. Believing in yourself ultimately becomes believing in love. Love for yourself, love for others, love for life. Not sentimental love, but grounded, steady, courageous love. The love that stays present when things are hard. The love that chooses understanding over judgment. The love that chooses growth over comfort. And from this love, a quiet joy flows. A joy that does not depend on conditions. A joy that comes from being aligned with yourself and with life. A joy that whispers, "This is enough. I am enough. This moment is enough." You no longer feel like you are chasing happiness. You realize that happiness is not something you catch, it is something you allow. It is the natural state of a heart that is not at war with itself. So you walk forward now with softness and strength, with humility and courage, with trust and openness. You walk knowing that you do not need to be perfect to be worthy, you do not need to be certain to be brave, and you do not need to control life to live it fully. You simply need to be present, to be honest, to be kind, and to be willing. And in that willingness, life meets you with open arms.